I'm good. I'm good.
Will's recording. Scott, are you recording something, anything?
I'm almost there. Hold on. I'm not gonna be able to get it.
You're not gonna be able to get it?
It just-
All right,
We have 3 recordings here.
good. Call the meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. June 16, 2016, 7:04, Council Chambers, Town of Monroe, Planning and Zoning Commission. Please join me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioners, would you introduce yourselves? Starting on my right.
Paul Lisi, alternate member.
William Porter, Vice Chairman.
Pat O'Hara, Chairman.
Jeremy Hayden, Commissioner.
David Townsend, Commissioner.
Will Gressa, Town Planner.
Scott Schossline, Town Engineer and Land Use Group Director. Item 3, general public participation. I presume both of you are here for the public hearing, so seeing no one else. Item 4, general appointments. We have none. Item 5, public hearing, subdivision, re-subdivision. SUB 2016-01, file 1258C 716 Wheeler Road, Monroe Tax Assessor Map 117, Lot 14. Application of Gary Howden, applicant owner, for a 2-lot residential subdivision. The property consists of approximately 4.1 acres located within a residential and farming district, RF1. Do we have the publication? Jeremy, would you read that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Notice is hereby given in accordance with CGS 8-7D that the following application will be the subject of a public hearing in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 7 Fan Hill Road, Monroe, Connecticut, Thursday, June 2nd, and this evening, Thursday, June 16th, or soon thereafter, to hear testimony, public input, and receive correspondence concerning the following. Subdivision 2016-01, our file number 1258C, 716 Wheeler Road, Monroe Tax Assessor Map 117, Lot 14. Application of Gary Howden, applicant owner for a 2-lot residential subdivision, re-subdivision. The property consists of approximately 4.1 acres located within a residential and farming district 2, RF2. Complete details and copies of all related materials associated with the above matters are on file and available for viewing in the Monroe Planning and Zoning Department offices.
That's good.
Pub-
You got
Okay,
publication
the
dates?
Publication date.
Thursday, May 19th and May 26th, 2016. Publications have been made twice.
All right, I'm going to read the instructions to give to an audience for a hearing. I'm going to read them very quickly because we don't have an audience. Order of hearing of an application. Points of order and responses will be entertained. Exhibits will be read for the record. Applicant and our representatives will present application and will answer commission questions. The floor will then be open to those to speak in favor of the application. The floor will then be open to those who oppose the application. The floor will be open for general comments or questions. The floor will be open to the applicant who may take opportunity for closing remarks or rebuttal, after which discussion will close. The applicant or his representatives are the final speakers. Rules of behavior for a public hearing. Number 1, no comment should be accepted from anyone unless recognized by the chair. No all questions and comments should be addressed to the chair, who will determine if an answer should be provided by whom. There will be absolutely no discussion between speaker and audience. 3, commission has no intention to limit the right of any person to speak, but asks that speakers try not to be repetitive. Please try to present new information. If something has been said before the commission, we will invite you to indicate your agreement with previous speakers. 4, at no time shall there be displays of emotion, applause, cheering, etc. 5, a vote or demonstration by show of hands will not be recognized. 6, all parties are requested not to talk between themselves while the hearing is in progress. If you feel a need to talk, step out in the lobby. 7, all speakers, when recognized, must advance to the microphone and speak. Please state your name and address for the record. 8, the chairman reserves the right to cut off discussion if it's not relevant to the application or is presented in an appropriate manner. 9, this is a legal proceeding, much the same as what would occur in a courtroom setting. We request that all parties observe the proper decorum that would be observed in that setting. And 10, please turn off all cell phones or similar devices. If you have a need to use these devices, please leave the room and use them outside. Will, exhibits?
Exhibit number 1, subdivision application intention study. Exhibit number 2, floor plan set. Exhibit number 3, fire marshal comments. Exhibit number 4, town engineer comments. Exhibit number 5, town sanitarian comments. Exhibit number 6, town planner comments. Exhibit number 7, building official comments. Exhibit 8, revised plan set. Exhibit 9, parcel map showing drainage pipe. Exhibit 10, detention study revised. Exhibit 11, revised plan set. Exhibit 12, referral from the Inland Wetlands Commission. Exhibit number 13, notice certificate of decision from the Inland Wetlands Commission. Exhibit 14, revised town planner comments. Exhibit 15, resubmission of subdivision and application materials. Exhibit number 16, revised detention study. Exhibit number 17, revised plans. Exhibit number 18, updated town planner comments. Exhibit number 19, updated town engineer comments. Exhibit 20, correspondence granting extension of time for the opening of the public hearing. Exhibit 21, revised detention study. Exhibit 22, revised plan set. Exhibit 23, updated town planner comments. And Exhibit 24, updated town engineer comments. That's all the exhibits. Do you have the green cards and receipts?
And did you bring your stick drive? Huh?
Yeah.
We could stick that in, this is an old version. No, I'm asking if you brought the stick drive
Oh,
for your plan.
If I didn't know to do
Huh?
that. I didn't know.
I'd asked him to do that.
John Mack, Stewart Summers Company.
You wasn't here?
Good evening. Excuse me, Scott, what was that again?
Yeah, did you bring your temporary drive to put in the computer to get the plan up on the wall?
Yes. Talking about the new driveway layout?
No, I'm asking if, never mind.
Flash drive.
Your flash
Flash drive.
drive, did you bring a flash drive with your plan?
No, I did not.
All right,
I brought a hard copy.
yeah, in the future, if you could bring a flash drive, remember I talked about that at Inland Wetlands, it makes it a whole bunch easier. This is,
Sure.
this is your subdivision plan from the Inland Wetlands meeting.
Oh,
So I think the subdivision plan is pretty much the same, you can use that if you want, but you're gonna have to
yeah, I'm used to doing it the
ad
old
lib with the
fashioned.
rest of it.
You want to hand that up here and we'll pass it around?
Sure, let me, take it off the board. These are the up-to-date revised plans. And, the existing plans on the top. So, I can put it in the same. Top plan is E1, existing plan, Scott. Can you go to that one?
This is the only one that is gonna apply because it's the older inland wetlands plans that we
Yeah,
have.
but you have the existing.
Oh, you want the existing?
Yes.
Sure.
Great.
We can do that.
Just to show what's there now. There's an existing house with barns and stone walls. And there is a wetlands on it too, on the south end of the parcel.
You could use the mouse over here to
Okay.
use the little hand to show them where you, as a pointer there.
And the wetlands are on the south side of the parcel, stone walls. In the back, a pool. This being, fire, is that fire pit? The foundation, yeah. Old foundation, it's not a structure. There is a structure in the back, a shed, that will be removed because of the new lot line. And there's a barn, existing barn, the driveway actually is right here, the entrance. And there's another entrance to the existing driveway here, another barn here. This is an open field.
Yeah, you're on, hold on a second. Just let go, I got it. All right.
Where the new house is proposed is the northern side end of the parcel on the corner of Wheeler Road and Hammertown Road. We did test holes in the area of the corner with the sanitarian and gave him a septic plan and he approved that with 4-bedroom house. So if you go to the proposed plan, which shows the old driveway layout for the proposed house,
You didn't open,
that's the other map.
you didn't open.
I'm not sure which one it's
You
on.
gotta go to the folder.
It's called S1 in the set plan.
Well, here's the old one.
Here's the old plan of the driveway going out to Wheeler Road. We went out in the field with Scott and found out the sight line to the left was possible, but there was a lot of work involved to do that. A lot of removal of stone walls, a lot of regrading, and it's in front of the old house. And there's a well there in front of the old house too. So we went out again, that's why we're delayed 2 weeks. And in the field, we found a better spot on Hammertown Road with the driveway. There's a little bit more grading, but it still works, and the sight line is adequate, like Scott said, to the intersection of Wheeler Road and to the right coming out of the driveway. So we show underground galleries for the roof drains. And we're going to detain the driveway with underground galleries for the new pavement for the driveway. We show stockpiles and where the roof drains are going. So all the drainage is going to go to the existing catch basin at the intersection of Hammertown and Wheeler Road. So on the record map, R1 is the survey plan. Yeah, and that's not going to be updated because that's the well.
Yeah, you want to tell them about
That,
that?
yeah, that angle, right angle at the intersection of Wheeler Road and Hammertown, we put a radius to follow that stone wall and brought it back on the Wheeler Road side. And we left the right of way alone in front of the existing house because it's already on top of the existing house, and give it any more, the right of way line would be through the porch. So, and then plus there's existing well and the structures. So we did not give any land up in that area, but on the other side, it's pretty well pulled back, the right of way on the other side, on the west side of the road, Wheeler Road, is pulled back where that, I think that's a private road. It's a dirt road?
Yes.
Serves a few houses, about three houses, Gary?
Yes.
So, but we did pull it back on, along the new property, and this is a re-subdivision. It's actually, there's 2 other subdivisions, so this is a re-subdivision of this parcel. So, it is 4.1 acres, so we do have, we're giving that extra 0.1 acre to the town along that western side of the road, Wheeler Road. And the lot line, or right-of-way on the northern side of Hammertown was pulled back quite a bit during that subdivision on the other side. So, plus it's following the stone walls. There's no plans to take out the stone wall except for where the driveway is going. So it was approved by wetlands and the health department. And we had numerous trips out there with Gary and Scott to go over where the driveway would come.
It was approved by wetlands?
Yes.
Clarification though on the health department?
Oh, the health department approved the old driveway layout, but we didn't move the septic, so I don't think they would have a
Well,
problem.
you didn't move the septic, but you moved the storm drainage And there's piping that goes from the storm drainage to the town drainage, so we don't have comments from the health department on that yet.
Yeah, we could, I didn't have time because I got your comments today. So I didn't have time to submit it to the health for a re-review, which I don't think is gonna be a problem. If there's any
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Commissioners, any questions?
Not at this time.
Nope.
Have you seen the staff comments dated June 15th?
That was just from
From
Will?
yesterday, from Will and from Scott.
Yes.
Couple of things I would like you to address. I understand about the right-of-way issue when you're giving up the land on the corner. That doesn't really meet the subdivision regulations, but I understand there's been some conversations about that. I don't want to go into that right now. There's a note from the town planner concerning the lot configuration.
And, yep,
Explain to me, please, how your proposed configuration complies with our subdivision regulation.
Could I say something on that?
this is the applicant.
Get-
Sure.
Mr. Howard, yes, you can.
Mr.
Just come on up. You're
Name
free
and
to
address.
participate. Just say name and address for the record. and-
Gary Howden, 716 Wheeler Road, Monroe. One of the things I was trying to do is keep our barn is probably more known than just about most buildings in this town. And we get people coming in all the time, want to take pictures of it, things of that sort. So I could have made a cookie cutter lot, but it would involve taking the barn down. So I really didn't want to take the barn down. So that's why the alternative was to give a strip of property along the back to meet the requirements of the 2 acres for both the lots. The barn's absolutely beautiful, and I'm sorry, I just didn't want to take it down and make a cookie cutter lot out of it. So I'm trying to keep the old barn with the old house. The house is 220 years old, and that's why I really have a tough time moving stone walls or taking the barn down. I'm trying to keep the historical significance of the lot as much as I can here.
Okay, thank you. There was a comment from the town engineer. Let me find, excuse me for 1 second here. Yeah, I noticed this, looking at the test pit information, you know, you have modeling as shallow as 24 inches. How does that affect your septic design?
Yeah, I discussed this with Scott over a phone conversation today, and we could just limit the depth of the 2x4 concrete gallery to 2 feet, and then have a foot of fill on top of that. So it'd be a little fill on top of the galleries, so it doesn't go into the high groundwater.
So you're gonna have an engineered, designed system,
It'll show
not,
the inverts.
you're gonna have to
The
fill,
bottom of the galleries. yeah.
you're gonna have to fill for the system.
Hey, Bill,
A foot.
this, just to clarify, we're not talking about the septic system, we're
This is
talking
it.
about recharge.
I'm talking about the septic system.
Yeah, my comment about the mottling and that was about the storm drainage. That's about, he's proposing gallery systems for the roof runoff, for the driveway runoff, and the footing drain runoff. And I'm pointing out that the galleries that he's put in there are too low, they're below the mottling. As far as the septic, I don't have information, that's from the health department on that.
Okay, but the test pits that were done in the area of the septic system show rather high modeling,
Yeah,
at 24 inches.
This one was 24. and-
24, and there's one, I think, at 32.
Yeah.
So how are you addressing that?
Well, for the septic, it was already approved. The
I'm just asking you a question, how was that addressed?
The septic was already approved and it's at the correct elevation. We show a cross-section if you go to the septic plan, and the health department approved it. For the roof drains, we'll show, we'll put a note on the plan and show the bottom of the galleries that it won't go into the groundwater level. It'll stay 2 feet into the ground maximum, because they're 2-foot high galleries. And it'll be a foot on top of that with fill, so it'll be a little mounded, but not much. It's pretty flat out there, and there's no, I don't think there was any ledge.
No,
So,
wouldn't take it.
so that's historic, plus the foundation of the house will act like, as a current drain and actually dry up some of that high groundwater, so it'll, but we'll keep it at the historic mountain
Okay,
height.
thank you.
Commissioner Hayden?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Tyson?
No, thank you.
I got a couple of questions for Mr. Howden to kind of go back to Commissioner Porter's concern about the odd size of the lot. So I am familiar with the site. How old's the house?
220 years old.
And is the barn that age as well?
Honestly, I'm not positive. But
Okay.
I would say yes. Looking at the structure and the type of timbers that were used, my best guess would be yes, or soon after.
Are there any historic designations or attachments to the property currently? Anything?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But
And are you saying that you could create 2 squares if that barn were demolished?
yes.
Okay. That's all the information I need. Thank you.
Got it.
Anybody else? Scott, Will, anything to add? I mean,
I want Will to just tell us in layman's terms about the right-of-way issue.
Well, I mean, the code seeks when you subdivide to get the strips of land to make a sufficient right-of-way so that the property would be on a 50-foot right-of-way, which is what our minimum would be for this type of street.
But this is a re-subdivision,
Well,
so,
subdivision, re-subdivision, either one.
well, but that wasn't done when the initial
Oh,
subdivision was done?
Apparently not,
It was, okay,
on this property.
yeah, it was done.
It was done along Hamilton.
along
Yeah, it
Hammer-
was on Hammertown, but not,
But not along.
not on this part.
This part of Hammertown and this part, and not along Wheeler Road.
And then the ones across the street, it was done on the ones across the street on that side. So the shortage is along Wheeler Road.
Does the town have any immediate or short-term plans to do any improvements on Wheeler Road?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, what it does is that you can see that, I think the pavement even narrows down too, if I'm correct, along this stretch. And all these improvements really jut out. I mean, the well's right there, the walls are all there. If you go there, there'd be a lot of work to widen this out. I mean, obviously, one alternative would be, if they were to do widening, to maybe slant it to this side anyway, so we don't have to get into reconstructing all these walls or taking them away. So I would think that, you know, if we were to widen this road, we'd probably want to stay to this side.
Well, the problem with that, though, is that typically we wouldn't do that because it would make the curve worse. So by, you know, we wouldn't want to do that. I mean, we could in some situations.
but there's no
There's like
No,
no
there's no
traffic.
plan.
but there's no plan.
There's
This
no
is
immediate
traffic.
plans.
The other question, did we get any comment from the police?
No,
Did we see comment from the police?
yes.
Okay, so can anybody tell me if there's any significant accident activity in this area? Mr. Howden, would go to you two as a property owner?
I will tell you this, that because of the old house, the existing house, the one place on that road where traffic does slow down is in front of my house. If you get up farther up there, matter of fact, you can ask the Monroe Police, they're sitting up there all the time with radar guns because they start to come flying down. There's a clear sign of light, and the road is narrow in front of the old existing house, and the house is there on the road. People do naturally slow down, so one place on the whole road where people do slow down. So widening the road I think would be almost a big mistake by the time they would thought of buying and get there.
Thank you, sir. Anything else, Bill?
Nope.
Scott, Will, is there anything screaming that we didn't bring up?
Well, for me, you know, it's a struggle because I don't have the without the information that I need to see that it will work.
What subject are you on?
The drainage.
Okay,
They would be taking a risk because if we have to change something,
The,
then
the,
I
the
can't.
drainage discussion is based on the moving of the driveway, which has not had some of the other reviews, yes?
Yeah, that
Okay.
came late in the process, yeah.
So if we were to move forward on this, there would be a certain amount of risk on the applicant's part in terms of that activity. Does the applicant understand that since some of the reports are not in because we moved the driveway, that there may be some risk to any action going forward? Speak louder, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. All right. Will, any, Scott?
One second.
So we got some drainage stuff that,
They're still
No, well, no, this is.
I don't have any issues. I think you have to flesh out with Scott more, what, if any of this is substantive in matter or could be conditional. Substantive meaning it doesn't.
are you on
make-
drainage?
On whatever his open issues are.
Yeah, so the two issues are, one thing is, it's, when it comes to creating a subdivision, if you don't have a positive comment from the health department, once you approve it, then that lot exists and there's legal issues because you just created a lot that may not be able to be built on.
Your simple suggestion is to hold the hearing open to get the report
I
from
mean,
the
I don't
health
like doing that, but that's what
Scott,
I'm
it doesn't,
suggesting.
I didn't ask whether you liked it or not, I asked
Okay, that's one
if that's
issue.
what you recommend.
That's one
Will,
issue.
Will, please. I need them to happen one at a time. So we're on drainage, and the question would be, is it okay to keep the hearing open to get the drainage on the record?
I think we should because of the drainage and the septic.
Okay. Does the applicant have any problem keeping the hearing open for the report regarding the drainage?
No.
Okay.
Now,
That's
the other
number
thing
one.
that I discussed with them is, I think now is the time to provide a little bit of input about this right-of-way issue, because depending upon what your feelings are about that, they may or may not need to address that. So they were hoping to get a little bit of a read from you tonight on that before we kind of close.
What
it.
concerning the driveway?
Whether or not that was, there's a bunch of options. What we discussed was kind of coming up with an alternative. What they've done is they've focused on the intersection area, they've provided a new radius, and they've pulled the right-of-way back. If you look in your plans that he gave you, along here, they widened out the right-of-way. So although they're not meeting the specific or the typical requirement of the 50-foot right-of-way, in this area, they're widening it out to the point where they're able to, because they don't have enough land to provide the right-of-way for both areas. So that's their compromise. I mean, the right-of-way is so that we have, obviously, a focused on potential road widening, but also utilities, sightline, the ability to do those, for the town to go in and do things because we own it. Those are the things that we need the right-of-way for. So, but it is good that they're focusing on the intersection area, because of all the areas, that's where we would focus on first, on trying to have improvements, or have more open areas. These walls in the area are very restrictive in terms of sight line and kind of closing things in. The other problem I have is you need to look at this and decide what for this area where they're providing conveyance, there's now going to be a stone wall out in the right-of-way.
How old is that stone wall?
Same thing.
Yeah, so it's
A couple hundred years old?
Yeah,
Yes.
so the question is, do we want to leave the wall there and just hope that it's gonna be a long time before we ever need to touch it? And if we do, then it's a town expense. Or do you want them to take the wall, move it back and rebuild it?
Wasn't it remaining, wasn't that part of the wetland approval?
No, the wetlands did not focus on that because it's not near where the wetlands.
So you're asking some feedback, yes?
Yeah, I think they should get some feedback at this point. just-
I would say that we should be mindful of the historic nature of that area, not just this lot, but there are there's at least one more up the street, the Butler's house. And then down on Hammertown, there are two or three, including one that, just had a structural fire. So I would actually, if you want to talk about these roads, if you go down Hammertown in either direction, it can get a little hairier as compared to what we're looking at right here. So I mean, from a historical standpoint, I would like to be preserving historical features in this area as much as possible.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I wouldn't be asking the town of Monroe to relay a stone wall. And I mean, someone like Mr. Howden might be capable of relaying a stone wall, but quite frankly, I don't think he's got the skills that they had 200 years ago. So, to as much as practicable, I would leave things alone.
Okay, I just wanted to get that input on it.
And I would also put out there that lacking police reports to the contrary, leave it alone.
Okay, and that will be very helpful because there is some drainage that crosses it and things like that. So that's why I wanted to kind of get that input up front.
Assuming it's not a safety issue, right?
I've
You don't have the police report,
I've said
but-
at least twice that
Right.
we've asked the police have not responded. When we ask the police if it's a hot issue, they're gonna come forward. No response is no interest.
Well, even from the staff's opinion, if they feel.
No,
it's-
leaving the wall there is fine. If the wall's there now, the road's there now, nothing's changing with the road. All they're doing is they're providing right-of-way for future uses.
Yeah, no, I'm
So,
saying if you're, in your opinion, if you feel it's currently unsafe.
no, I think the wall's okay the way it is right now. As I said, I think in the future, when we go to do something, it's probably gonna be a long time, if any,
That's gotta be way at the bottom of the list.
It's
of
way at the
things to
bottom of
do.
the list, but these are requirements that, we need
I
to
understand.
address as we go along, so.
It's part of our job, we're discussing it, and I think what you're hearing from the commission is,
Is leave it alone.
leave it alone.
But the conveyance, the compromise on the conveyance is fine, and we will leave that in.
It puts you in a
your
place where if something does have to happen, whoever a next property owner is, you don't have to argue with. You're in a position to do what you
Okay.
gotta do.
Sounds good.
All right, anything else on this? So we essentially are asking to keep your hearing open, get the new configuration of the driveway settled from the drainage and the septic and the health department.
Correct.
Everything else we think we're okay on?
No, the sight line's okay. I went out and looked at that, and that's okay. He just needs to plot it on the plan. So, yeah, we'll try to.
With the
wrap-
driveway on Hammertown.
The new driveway. Yeah, there was a long process in getting them to move the driveway over to Hammertown, which is way more suitable. And that's really what kind
We
of,
don't have the sight line required from Wheeler Road.
correct. Wheeler Road, there were some serious problems with sightline. Last comment is, what is your thought about the well on Wheeler Road? The current existing well is on the right-of-way, existing right-of-way, so it's not even really on their own property.
No, it is,
Or it's right on the
well, we
line.
went out and we located it.
So the casing is
It is
completely
on his
his?
property.
Okay, all right.
And
so-
it's relatively a new well. They pulled that permit, I would guess, in the 80s by the previous owner. So
Yeah,
the
okay.
town did inspect it before, and they have a permit pulled, so.
It's a drill well.
Then we're fine.
Not an issue.
Okay,
And if there's an issue in the reselling of the house, it's not the zoning commission, it's the property owner. 'Cause
all
we-
right, so I think we have what we need to
Okay.
wrap things up.
Gentlemen, anything else you'd like to share tonight?
No,
So we're gonna see you in is it
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
3 weeks.
July 7, I believe.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Next up. 6, site development plan, we have none.
Will, do you need these?
Oh. Mr. Mack, we got your plans up here, you can, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So we have nothing under item 6. Item 7, permit amendments, modifications, nothing. Extensions, number 8, nothing. 9, bond release reduction, nothing. Meeting minutes, June 2nd, 2016. Do we have those?
No, so,
Okay, so we're going to table that till July. 11, application deliberation determination, special exception permit, SEP 2016-05, file 1574A, 178 Main Street, Monroe Tax Assessor Map 19, Lot 2, John Lilly, Soundview Capital Partners. All right, so this is the car wash. We closed this last meeting. Let me figure out who we're doing for deliberation.
it depends if Paul listened to the last meeting's
Gotcha.
proceeding.
So Dave, Jeremy, Bill, and I are all set? Yes? This is where you gentlemen say yes loud.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I did not.
Paul, have you listened to the tape of this?
No, I have not.
All right, so the four of us are gonna deliberate. We can do it with four. All right, gentlemen, are you ready to deliberate on the car wash?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me have a second just to get organized. Put everything where it belongs. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Well, why don't we start with which direction we're interested in taking this application? Are we thinking it's go forward with an approval or go forward with denial? Excuse me, approval with
I'm
conditions?
approval with conditions.
I am as well, gentlemen?
I am.
Okay. So we're moving forward, approval with conditions. We had a number of issues we dealt with. Parking. I'm not doing this in any particular order, other than I'm trying to keep up with Will's comments. So the question on parking was, the applicant was asking us to consider 0.75 parking spaces per employee. Yes?
I think so.
I think that's what he was looking for. Does that sound right, Will?
Did you say 0.7?
0.75 per.
3 spaces for every 4.
Mhm.
That was, I believe, his testimony and his request. I think coincidentally, it also made it work. All right. Support, objections, anybody?
I don't have any objections.
I think in this particular instance, what's gonna happen is if they do have more cars, they're just gonna use some of the vacuum spaces.
Yeah.
So we find that there is ample parking even if he does have more people, and I
How many
believe
spaces was he providing, do you remember?
It would be 8, I believe, and there was a
With one of those-
possibility for a 9th one that we could put on the map.
There was 8 with one of them being handicapped.
there was 15.
Well,
if
there's
we-
7 vacuums,
7 vacuums.
and then there's 5
8.
spaces here in the rear, 3 spaces up by where the handicap is, and they could put a 9th one in the corner on the drive-through.
Scott, can you put the diagram up on? Sure. So, yeah, it was a total of 15. And I believe the employment situation, as indicated in the record, was most of the time it was a smaller number of people, and then there were certain times when it was busier, those times being obvious, Saturday, Sunday.
It's not there.
It's not, this
Go to the
one,
previous,
Okay.
this isn't here either,
go to the previous.
the one I had up.
Go to the previous
If
meeting.
you guys can whisper while you're finding plans. So we good on the parking?
Yes.
Okay. We're also asking if we can show that other parking spot at the back. Okay. Landscape lighting and signage, that seemed to have all been addressed, with the exception, the commission, is the commission going to require the removal of the non-dark sky compliant fixtures that are on the property and replace them as discussed during the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Site details, the only thing that seemed to be lacked conclusion was the actual doors that are going on the 3 front bays. I know it was discussed. I know there was some back and forth. What do you say, folks?
I don't have any issues with a sectional overhead door. The door on the existing building is a glass sectional door. You know, a conventional sectional door is fine with me. I know that Will had some thoughts about it possibly being more of an architectural type door, but that's my opinion.
John? You're shaking your head, Jeremy. Does that mean you're agreeing with Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to speak for the record.
Dave, you?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
agree with that.
All right, so we're gonna go with what Bill is thinking, which is basically it's a door that matches the existing door?
No, just the existing door is a glass door. That's not what he was proposing. I'm pretty sure he was proposing a standard, solid oak garage door.
Solid garage door.
No, sectional door.
Solid sectional.
Well, I think it had some windows at the top.
Did he have windows? Well,
Are we taking the applicant's proposed door?
yes.
So we're taking the applicant's proposed door. Okay. Discussion about sidewalk. You folks discussed it during the public hearing. I believe there was a discussion about waiving it. Where do you guys fall on it? I remember some discussion about if it were, that little stretch of road is really disconnected from everything.
I don't seem to recall any conclusive decision on that, but
I didn't see a need to keep it.
I think we discussed that it wasn't the type of situation where people were gonna be leaving their cars and then walking anywhere off the property, which is, I think, why we decided it wasn't as necessary.
Well, the other thing we brought up is you have a building and a little stone yard, and then you have a swamp.
Right.
So it would be a sidewalk basically to pretty much nowhere.
So are we in agreement that we're waiving the sidewalk in this particular instance based on the field conditions?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, yes. We've got a DOT encroachment permit that needs to get taken care of. That's off of Scott's comments.
And the radius has to be increased on the exit drive. Is that correct, Scott?
Yes.
I'm looking through the notes. I'm saving the best for last, obviously, but I'm looking through the notes and I don't see anything else. Is there, we've got,
There was a discussion about the well, and the applicant indicated that they would connect if required by the local or state health department to the public water in the street. They would need to add details of the dumpster and the vacuum screen fence. They agreed to make the note changes in my 1A as well as my 1D, 1E. And 3E. And with regard to 4, the bullet that they would make the handicap bollards blue with the sleeves, and that the other sleeves on the bollards would match the building color.
Commissioners, you agree with all the things Will just pointed out? from
Yes.
his-
Yes?
Yes, okay. Does that take care of the planner's comments, Will?
Yep.
Well, I have a question. Well, wasn't there an issue at some point along the way about the north elevation, about the length of that wall with no,
They put windows in.
and that
They put a
addressed,
window in the middle of it, yeah.
that addressed it?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, and the water issue, you all agree is if the health department says hook up, they're hooking up? Yes? Okay. So that takes care of the planner's comments. I now want to move to the engineer's comments minus,
I hear you.
like I said, save the best for last.
Okay, so we got the small radius in the driveway, we've got the grading along the driveway entrance to be a minimum of 1% pitch, would be in there. So you said that input on the water from the health department. The drainage structure off the northeast corner advised to avoid the conflict, they said they would do that. That the sedimentation erosion control plan, the labeling of that as an exit in lieu of an entrance needs to be done. Under the details for the dumpster enclosure, rain garden, base material, the revised outlet spillway and the lighting fixtures that they talked about should be on the plan.
Yeah, you and Will, I think, both have that covered.
Okay. Contingent on the highway encroachment permit and also a floodplain permit.
Yeah,
Um,
we've got a bond of 5,000 because we've got no walks.
That's correct, the bond will be the 5,000.
The entrance, the curbing was going away, yes? Along the driveway coming in,
That's correct. yeah.
south side of that driveway, so that can act as an area to absorb water.
Yeah, and actually I'll work with them on, it was either change the grade so it's 1% or more, or get rid of the curbing so that the water can sheet off the driveway and it won't pond there. So they can have less than 1% as long as it doesn't.
Well, and
have
I think the discussion was they were hoping that they didn't have to do work to that driveway.
Yep,
We allowed the removal of the curbing, which helps facilitate what they were looking for.
yep, that's correct.
All right. So I think the note needs to be clear that it's kind of either or, not, they're not fixing the driveway and removing the curbing.
Yeah, and that's what it was meant to
Okay.
be. And then there was something I have in my notes about you wanting them to provide a loading space behind the addition, but then I have.
No,
but
we,
they're- but they're
the
waiving
loading space is a requirement of the regulations where we can waive the loading space based upon what the activity is. We discussed that, we're gonna discuss it again right now, and that they have to show on the plan a loading space, which during the public hearing, you guys all decided that, yes, you could show a loading space on the plan. So to the commission now, are you willing to waive the loading space per regulation?
Yes.
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 There you
Yes.
go. You're waiving a loading space per regulation, however, you're gonna show it on the plan as discussed during the public hearing. And I believe it was behind the detailing area. Boulders in lieu of guide rail, was that acceptable?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so boulders in lieu of guide rail is acceptable.
And we'll expand on that and say that the minimum size should be typically they're three by three.
Whatever,
Okay, so we'll put that in and you guys can accept it with the draft.
I mean, it should be boulders that'll keep a car from going out of.
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of
we
the-
have a size.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with today's cars, you don't need a whole lot of boulder anymore before a car gets all torn up.
That's all of mine. I think we hit on everything of mine. What's that? With the exception of the last issue.
Um, Okay. So that gets us down to,
This is a guide rail.
God, pay attention, we're on the last issue. So what are we gonna do with regards to the discussion where the applicant's engineer was proposing one certain set of conditions and the town's engineer was proposing a different set of conditions? Which way are we going, folks?
You know, inland wetlands kind of pushed this off on the zoning commission with their statement that we should look at stormwater quality, which I don't understand why inland wetlands didn't just address stormwater quality, since that's their purview. But I believe that, thinking along the same lines as Scott, you know, a system, and it doesn't have to be an elaborate system, it actually should be a quite basic system with some deep sump catch basins and a static septic tank, more or less, as a sediment trap, will work probably 90% of the time on this site. And I agree that when we hit the 100-year storm level, everything's going to be underwater, and nothing will be functional at that point. But once the water recedes, there will still be a functional system that will protect the quality of the river by treating any of the stormwater runoff. With the amount of cars coming in and out of this lot, you know, they're not all brand-new cars, they're gonna be dripping oil, they're gonna be, you know, carrying in sand and salt during the winter time. All of that material, under the current proposed drainage system, is going to end up in the river. And I don't think that we should allow that to happen. So I think that the applicant, working with the town engineer, has to propose a suitable system that is going to address the stormwater quality runoff.
Gentlemen?
I agree with that.
I absolutely agree with that. Yep.
I agree as well, and I know Bill said this, but I'll also say it. It's, you've got a site which is having a significant square footage of impervious surface being added. As the site sits right now, you know, it is a very it is a car-specific site on the river. I mean, I think we've all been to this car wash at least once or twice. It's the only one in town. You can literally, you know, get out of your car and you're right there in the river. So it is in a very sensitive spot. As it sits right now, there's a huge amount of grass, which helps to absorb anything and everything. And most of that is going away. I mean, looking at this, it's gonna be a great improvement to the site, but something should be put in there to help trap oil and sediment and all these other things. So I think we're all in agreement that what we'd like to see is the applicant's engineer work with the town engineer for something that is suitable. It sounds to me like low-tech.
Yeah, in anticipation, I wrote up a sentence, and I can read it to you, and if it's along the lines of what you're thinking, you
Pass it down, I'll read
can
it.
just tell me.
Pass it down, I'll read it.
All right.
The commission, as a fact-finding commission, we are also within our purview to consider and judge the credibility and the recommendations of our staff as experts and as the applicant's experts, and make a determination as to what's best, obviously, in terms of the application for the town. there were representations made on the record with regard to cost and commercial benefit. So to that point, in terms of the credibility and our ability to rely on expert recommendations, to me, it just tends to make me feel better relying on our expert.
So Scott's recommendation is considering the use of the property and the extent of the expansion of said use to include outdoor auto cleaning activities and a catchment and underground pipe conveyance storm drainage system with appropriate storm water quality control treatment, parentheses, designed as per guidelines of the 2004 Connecticut Stormwater Quality Manual, parentheses, shall be provided relative to the stormwater runoff from on-site parking / paved areas, excluding the access drive and queuing lanes. That sounds about right. It defines what we're looking for and where we're looking for it.
I think it should also say something to the effect, if you're going that direction, that the conveyance of the stormwater in that impervious surface area would be collected so not to overflow, surface flow across the driveway as was proposed by the applicant. 'Cause
Yeah,
the key feature
absolutely.
is not having that aspect. So
Yeah.
The other
It's
design
not-
aspects.
It's not like
of the
we're gonna
design.
treat half the water.
Yep, okay, good.
All right. Anything else on
Couple
this one?
words can change.
It's your condition.
Well,
not mine.
actually, what's gonna happen is
It's- you're
you're
gonna see
asking,
it
you're
right
asking,
now anyway.
you're asking staff to put together a draft approval letter. So,
We'll add what Will said, I think that's
Yeah.
good.
yeah,
Come up with something.
all right. Anything else on this application? Because the reality is, we're seeking to approve it. We have discussed the conditions of approval, both from a commission standpoint, a staff standpoint. So, unless we missed something, I don't see any reason to belabor this anymore, yes?
I think we've addressed all the issues.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of application deliberation determination for SCP 2016-05. Item 12, regulation review amendment work session. We did meet last week. We did have some discussion about signage, and basically, we figured out kind of quickly that the 10 inches that we put into these freestanding signs, we missed the boat. It's way too big. Just a note for future commissioners, it's probably better to have some of this stuff mocked up in front of you. We also talked about bringing in the owner of Superior Sign, who's a sign guy, for future reference. We don't have another meeting scheduled, and probably at this point, it's best to wait for Will to come back to us with some product, so we can then bring it back to the commission and hopefully fix some regulations. 13, correspondence. I don't have any. Anybody? No. 14, commissioners' reports. Anybody?
Nope.
Scott, Will?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, everybody.